then somebody must have said something to him. And next thing I know, Wolf, rest in peace, he let off a shot and let off a couple of shots, and Suge Man got right there.
The same people that Puffy told Wolf he was leaving him for is the same people that ended up killing Wolf. That's wild, man.
Well, he told Wolf he didn't need Wolf no more.
I saw my brother's picture on the big screen. Really couldn't believe it because I know that's not my brother's character.
Big Meech reportedly took out P. Diddy's deadly bodyguard, but the real shock is the theory that Diddy himself may have orchestrated the hit.
If Wolf was alive, the way he loved his mother, we would be talking about Diddy today.
Behind the scenes, tensions between Diddy and his inner circle were allegedly boiling over. Rumors suggest the bodyguard knew too much, secrets that could have brought Diddy down, and instead of loyalty, Diddy may have chosen to silence him for good.
It's interesting in the Wolf case because your friends will push you further than your enemies.
With Big Meech involved, the truth behind this betrayal is darker than anyone imagined. What could have pushed Meech to pull the trigger? Was it all part of a bigger plan orchestrated by Diddy, or was there something more sinister going on behind closed doors? Let's find out.
I put up a picture of Wolf and one of Puffy's sons, Justin Combs. Look at him. You tell me.
Before we get into the messy betrayal, let's set the stage with the man himself, Anthony Wolf Jones. If you're into hip-hop, especially from the 1990s, you've probably heard of him. Wolf wasn't just Diddy's bodyguard, he was his best friend, someone who had been there before Bad Boy Records was even a dream. Wolf grew up in the rough streets of the Bronx, a tough guy who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. But his loyalty, that was his defining trait.
That wasn't his former bodyguard, that was his friend. That was his childhood friend, you know what I'm saying? He definitely, if I hired one of my friends, you put him on, okay, you do security, but that was his friend.
Wolf was there for Diddy from the very beginning, even investing his own money into Bad Boy Records when it was just getting off the ground. He was more than muscle. He was an early investor, a protector, and most importantly, someone who knew all of Diddy's dirty secrets. So how does a friendship like that turn into a deadly rivalry?
Wolf wanted his money, and they was cool, but Wolf wanted to do other things. And then Puff said, yo, I'm gonna get your money. I'm gonna get your money. When I do this Universal, I think a Universal deal or something like that, he said, I'm gonna get your money.
Looks like Diddy couldn't take Wolf out himself, so he supposedly stirred up beef between Wolf and Big Meech, leading to Wolf's demise.
And he said Meech told him, that he didn't need Wolf no more.
It's mind-boggling to consider how many deaths Diddy appears to be connected to, whether directly or indirectly. Ultimately, it seems he's the only one reaping the rewards from all this turmoil. So what really happened? In the early 90s, Wolf had a run-in with the law, catching an attempted MDR charge after a beef with a rival crew. He spent a few years in prison, but by the time he was released in 1993, everything had changed. Not just for him, but for Diddy as well. Puffy, as Diddy was known back then, had been working his way up in the music industry and was starting to make a name for himself. By the time Wolf got out of prison, Puffy had just been fired from Uptown Records, the label where he had worked on some of the most iconic R&B projects of the time. But instead of quitting, Puffy took that setback and used it as fuel to start his own label, Bad Boy Records. This is where Wolf comes back into the picture. Puffy needed money to keep his new label afloat, and Wolf, along with two of his close friends, Buck and L, became early investors in Bad Boy Records. They even started throwing parties under the name Butt Naked Productions to help promote the label. But these parties weren't just about the music. They were also a front for Wolf and his crew's real business, moving products through the streets. Wolf's involvement wasn't just financial. He became Diddy's right-hand man, protecting him, helping him navigate the dangerous world of hip-hop, and making sure nobody got too close. The bond between Diddy and Wolf grew stronger as Bad Boy Records started gaining momentum. Biggie Smalls, Craig Mack, and other artists were becoming household names, and the label was finally taking off. By 1994, Diddy had signed a massive distribution deal with Arista Records, and the money was starting to roll in. Wolf, who had been there since the beginning, was more than just a bodyguard. He was a trusted confidant, someone who knew all of Diddy's secrets.
If Wolf was alive, the way he loved his mother, we would be talking about Diddy today.
But as Bad Boy Records grew, so did the tension between Wolf and Diddy. By the late 90s, rumors started circulating that Wolf wasn't happy with how things were going. He felt like Diddy owed him money, big money, and he wasn't going to let it slide. To make matters worse, Wolf wanted out of Bad Boy Records entirely. He was tired of being the guy in the background, the muscle that everyone depended on but nobody truly respected. And for Diddy, this was a serious problem. Wolf knew too much. He had been there from the very beginning, and he had seen things that could destroy Diddy's entire empire if they ever got out.
Wolf wanted to do other things, and then Puff said, yo, I'm gonna get your money, I'm gonna get your money. When I do this Universal, I think a Universal deal or something like that, he said, I'm gonna get your money. And he said that when I get your money, I'm gonna stop with you.
This is where the story takes a dark turn. According to some sources, Diddy wasn't just afraid of losing Wolf as a bodyguard, he was terrified that Wolf would expose his secrets. And when you've built an empire as big as Bad Boy Records, secrets are the last thing you want leaking to the public. But how do you get rid of someone like Wolf without getting your hands dirty? Enter Big Meech and the Black Mafia family.
Meech told him, you know, that he didn't need Wolf no more.
Big Meech and BMF were no strangers to the hip-hop world. They were major players in the D trade, with connections that stretched across the entire country. But they weren't just about business. They were about power and control. Wolf had known Big Meech for years, and at one point the two were even friends. But that friendship quickly soured, and rumors started flying that Diddy had something to do with it. Some say that Diddy whispered in Meech's ear, stirring up tension between the two, knowing that Meech was the kind of guy who wouldn't hesitate to take action. However, Wolf was very protective of Puff, always on point when it came to any type of threats, and soon Bad Boy would need a soldier like Wolf more than ever because there was always some tension going on Bad Boy Records. The seeds of conflict between Tupac, Biggie, Puffy, and Bad Boy Records can be traced back to November 30th, 1994, when Tupac was ambushed in the lobby of Quad City Studios by 3 armed men. This was a turning point for Tupac, not just physically, but mentally. He believed that the attack was a setup orchestrated by people he once trusted, including Bad Boy Records' Puffy and his close friend Biggie. This night sparked a chain of events that would shift the entire hip-hop landscape, planting the seeds for the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that would soon engulf the industry. Tupac's initial feelings of betrayal stemmed from his belief that Puffy, Biggie, and others in their circle knew about the attack but chose not to warn him. Oh, it's an art. Tupac felt this was a personal stab in the back, especially since he had been close to Biggie, even advising him not to sign with Puffy because he didn't trust him. It wasn't just Tupac that warned Biggie, but also Diddy's trusted ex-bodyguard also has some extreme revelations for Biggie. According to Gene Deal, Big had other things going on before his untimely death. Deal said he saw Big's Bad Boy contract when he had to watch over Diddy's briefcase during a flight. The contract outlined Big's earnings in increments of $250,000 but left publishing income in Puff's possession. When he asked Biggie about it, the rapper allegedly told him about his new deal and all the money he'd make. He explained, "He showed me. It had Charlie Baltimore E, Cameron, Lil Cease, Lil Kim, Junior Mafia, Tracy Lee, and the Commission. I think the contract was for so many years for like $62 million. It comes out to $62 million. Deal asserted that Big wanted to stop Junior Mafia's way of doing business and have them start writing and holding their own. Biggie planned to keep Lil Kim under his wing and would have taken Deal along with him to the next label, but he believed the bodyguard was too loyal to Puffy. But he would never imagine that Puffy would try to bribe Ron to hit him. Fortunately, he turned down his offer, but nothing can be undone now as Biggie is no longer with us.
I turned him down. Biggie had plans of leaving Bad Boy.
It's astonishing to know how far Diddy went just to get rid of Biggie. Being Diddy's bodyguard, Ron knows him closely. Not only that, Ron also told us how evil he can be to get things done in his favor.
Diddy is pure evil. He has a very nasty disposition. He treats everybody like crap.
Now you must have got a gist of the whole situation already. Even fans believed that Diddy was the one behind Biggie's suspicious demise. One of the fans tweeted his claim, "First of all, Diddy set up Biggie's Emder." On the other hand, since Biggie is no longer here, Deal's claims about his Bad Boy contract may be hard to verify. But the rapper's mother, Valletta Wallace, said he received $25,000 when he signed on with the label. She wrote about it in her 2005 book, Biggie. Valletta Wallace remembers her son, Christopher. Wallace wrote, "The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then. As a 19-year-old, he had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty. Looks like Puffy really has played his cards well. And if you remember correctly, Tupac's sixth senses are already giving him signals about what can happen if he trusts on Diddy. These feelings of mistrust grew as Tupac sat in prison, stewing over the events of that night. In an interview with Vibe magazine, Tupac vowed revenge not just on his attackers but also on anyone associated with Bad Boy Records. But it looks like his time was cut short because Dwayne Keith Davis, known as Keffi D, was arrested for his alleged involvement in the death of Shakur, a staggering 27 years after the rapper was shot while leaving a boxing match on the bustling Las Vegas Strip. Body camera footage from Davis's arrest captures him alluding to the M as the most significant case in Las Vegas history. "We lost two giants senselessly," rapper Fat Joe told CNN. "That's what bothers me when it comes to Biggie and Pac. We lost two giants over nothing." However, Shakur's tragic demise had far-reaching repercussions that extended well beyond the confines of Nevada, and it cast a somber foreshadowing over Wallace's own death. The lingering question that remains is when, or indeed if, an arrest will ever be made in connection to the loss of Wallace. And if that arrest is made, would we be seeing Diddy in jail?
27 years. 27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice.
The K's of these two influential rappers who started as friends and eventually turned into rivals have always been closely interconnected within the cultural tapestry. This connection arises from their shared era and the intricate web of events and context that surrounded their lives and tragic ends. It was almost like the death of Tupac was the first movie and then Biggie was the sequel. P. Frank Williams, who produced the 2017 television special, told CNN who shot Biggie and Tupac, the two biggest deaths in the history of hip-hop. Between all this drama, how can we forget about Suge Knight, CEO of Death Row Records? Though Puffy and Suge were once friendly, tensions escalated as their rivalry in the music business intensified. Both men were vying for dominance in the industry, and their competitive nature was only exacerbated by incidents involving mutual friends and bodyguards, including Anthony Wolf Jones, Puffy's right-hand man. Wolf had a complicated relationship with both Puffy and Suge. At one point, Wolf introduced Puffy to Suge, helping them form an early alliance. But as their music empires grew, so did their egos, and their bond soon turned into bitter competition. Suge's infamous diss at the 1995 Source Awards, where he seemingly called out Puffy for trying to be in the spotlight, ignited the East Coast-West Coast feud that would culminate in tragic violence.
I want to stay a star. Don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record.
Fast forward to September 24th, 1995, at Jermaine Dupri's birthday party in Atlanta. Suge Knight and Puffy's crew, including Wolf, crossed paths in what would become another pivotal moment. A confrontation between Suge and Puffy escalated, leading to the death of Suge's close friend and bodyguard, Jake Robles.
Puff and Suge, I guess somebody must have said something to him. And next thing I know, Wolf, rest in peace, he let off a shot and let off a couple shots.
Witnesses say that Wolf, ever the loyal protector of Puffy, opened fire in the midst of the scuffle, ultimately leading to Jake's death. This event further fueled the animosity between Death Row and Bad Boy Records, and it also solidified Wolf's reputation as Puffy's most trusted enforcer. The tragic death of Big Jake fueled Suge Knight's desire for revenge. He found his ally in Tupac Shakur, whose own betrayal by Bad Boy Records had already planted the seeds of mistrust and anger. Together, Suge and Tupac spearheaded the West Coast retaliation, intensifying the already dangerous East Coast-West Coast feud. Tupac, emboldened by Suge's backing, became the face of Death Row's war against Bad Boy, which led to a series of escalating tensions, violent exchanges, and ultimately, the untimely deaths of both Tupac and Biggie that we have already discussed. Even after Tupac's death, the cycle of violence didn't end. Puffy's team, particularly Wolf, remained on high alert. Wolf had warned Puffy that Biggie's life was in danger, receiving death threats and mysterious calls. But despite these warnings, Puffy brought Biggie to Los Angeles in early 1997, where tragedy struck again. After attending a Soul Train Awards after-party, Biggie was gunned down, an event that shook the entire hip-hop world. Eugene Deal also says Diddy insisted that Biggie drive in a separate car on the night of the shooting, even though they were headed to the same place. I told your driver Kenny to run the next 3 lights, Kenny ran the light, Big stopped at the light, Big got offed. It wasn't meant for him, bruh. He goes on telling, you wanna reminisce, brother? You wanna put Big and Wolf on a teleprompter and tell the world how much you love them? When in fact you did nothing to save them. According to Rolling Stone, LAPD had considered Deal a credible witness to Biggie's death and was able to identify the shooter in the case, which still remains unsolved. Diddy, however, allegedly fired Deal after finding out he was talking to the police. However, Wolf, furious at how Puffy had handled the situation, nearly cut ties with him. Yet, despite their growing tensions, Wolf stayed loyal, continuing to protect Puffy as Bad Boy Records rose to even greater success in the late 90s. But the relationship between Wolf and Puffy grew strained as Puffy expanded into new ventures and spent more time in Atlanta, where Wolf introduced him to the Black Mafia family, BMF, an infamous D organization. Wolf's street connections helped Puffy establish himself in new circles, but juggling his music empire with dangerous criminal alliances ultimately put Puffy at greater risk.
He the one who opened the doors to Bad Boy and BMF down at Atlanta. That all came from Wolf.
As the years went on, Wolf and Puffy's bond fractured over disagreements, especially after the legal fallout from the infamous club shootout involving Puffy, Jennifer Lopez, and rising artist Shine. While Wolf remained supportive of Shine, Puffy distanced himself, causing a rift that grew larger as Wolf felt it was time to move on from Bad Boy and start his own ventures. At a birthday party thrown by Jennifer Lopez for Puff at Miami's Club 312, Wolf met Mike Sally, the brother of former NBA player John Sally. They discussed going into business together and buying the club, sparking Wolf's desire to cash out his investment in Bad Boy Records. He informed Puff about his plans and requested the $300,000 he had initially invested, but Puff stalled, causing the deal to fall through. This added to Wolf's growing frustration and resentment. It seemed clear that Wolf was ready to move on and needed his money, which he said amounted to $300,000.
I guess he wanted to move on and he needed his money, I guess, that he put up, or, you know, Wolf said it was $300,000.
By late 2002, tensions between Wolf and Puff were at an all-time high. Wolf aggressively confronted Puff at the Bad Boy offices about the money, and according to accounts from Gone Deal, one of Puff's bodyguards, things almost turned physical. Puff allegedly told Wolf that he no longer needed his protection because he had the backing of Big Meech and the Black Mafia family, BMF. This made Wolf feel disposable, further deepening the rift between them. Despite the falling out, Wolf still maintained ties with BMF, particularly with Southwest T, one of the key figures in the organization. In October 2003, Wolf hosted a party at his Atlanta home, attended by BMF members including Meech and Terry. Wolf even vouched for an old Brooklyn shooter friend to join BMF, unknowingly setting the stage for future betrayal. On November 11, 2003, at Club Chaos in Buckhead, Wolf and his right-hand man Lamont Rez Gertie crossed paths with Big Meech and other BMF members. Tensions flared over a woman Wolf was involved with, leading to a physical altercation that got Wolf and Rez ejected from the club. But things quickly escalated in the parking lot, where Wolf and Rez confronted Meech and another BMF member, Bull. A gunfight broke out, with Wolf and Rez initially holding the upper hand.
I guess they lay us my man and everything like that, but damn, now he working for Meech and them, and he shot Wolf and Rez.
However, Wolf's old Brooklyn friend, now loyal to BMF, turned on him. Seeking to prove his loyalty to Meech, he gunned down both Wolf and Rez on the spot, leaving them for dead. The betrayal was swift and brutal, marking the tragic end of Wolf's life.
It was a shock to his father and I.
After Wolf's death, his mother spoke out, revealing that Puff had paid for Wolf's funeral, but had treated her son as though he barely knew him. She confronted Puff about the $300,000 that Wolf had claimed he was owed, but Puff dismissed it, suggesting that Wolf had delusions of grandeur. Wolf's legacy remains tied to the streets and to his pivotal role in the rise of Bad Boy Records, even though he never received the credit he deserved. While Puff rose to near-billionaire status, Wolf's story ended as a Bronx legend and a crucial figure in the Valley Mob. At just 38, Wolf's life was cut short, but his influence in the world of hip-hop and his connections to the streets are remembered by those who knew him. Rest in peace. The betrayal that led to Wolf's death came at the intersection of personal and business tensions between Puff and his once trusted bodyguard. The cracks in their relationship had been growing for years, and when Wolf sought his payout, Puff's alignment with BMF sent a clear message. So did Big Meech really KP Diddy's deadly bodyguard Wolf? Absolutely. But was it all part of a bigger plan orchestrated by Diddy himself? That's the million-dollar question. When you start connecting the dots, it's hard to ignore the possibility that Diddy set his own friend up for a fatal fall. He stood to gain everything from Wolf's death: control, power, and silence. Wolf's death closed the chapter on someone who knew too much about Diddy's empire, both the legal and illegal sides. Fans do have their own opinion on it, as one of them said, Puff took out Wolf, Meech didn't do it. Another added, Wolf knew too much, R.I.P. Wolf. Diddy has always been the one who benefits from the chaos around him while others pay the price. Biggie, Tupac, Wolf. These are just a few names tied to his legacy of suspicion and betrayal, and people do have the same opinion. Now that I'm grown, I realize that Pac and Biggie were just pawns to be used. I wish they would have avoided these horrible people. Think about it. Diddy had everything to gain from Wolf's death. With Wolf gone, all of Diddy's secrets were buried along with him. The money that Diddy supposedly owed Wolf. That debt disappeared the moment Wolf was offered. And Diddy? He walked away without a scratch, while Big Meech, the man who supposedly pulled the trigger, ended up in prison with a 30-year sentence. Coincidence? Or was Diddy the mastermind all along?